as you can see, it is 4:41 p.m. Central Standard Time. Some of the educational programming and software that goes behind these Android phones and their capabilities is kind of tricky, but as you can see today, it's going to be 77 degrees. It's got a 15% chance of showers at sunset. Today's are 7:19 p.m. and the air quality is good. So let's go back to the menu. Let's get on some maps. Go on down here. What about Google Maps? See how cool this stuff is? And then we're going to hit the layer, go to a satellite version, and zero in on who? Cuba. So we'll call these little episodes of maps and world geography, you see, of Android technology. So anyways, let's get back to Cuba. I think I mentioned Cuba in a previous video about Cuba. Right now, Cuba, they don't got no gas in it. And what that means is only Russia, they were allowed to donate some crude oil to Cuba by the Trump administration. But it was only about 7 days worth of fuel production, you see. That was technically what they were able to donate. Talks are on the table about some of that crude oil supply, but right now Cuba ain't getting anything except for the private sector of, like, the biggest purchaser of diesel fuel from who? The Donald Trump administration. You see, they allowed them to have, what was it? 30,000 gallons? 30,000 gallons of diesel, 30,000 barrels, 30,000 barrels of diesel went to the food delivery systems and delivery systems on Cuba. So the geography of Cuba, let me explain a little bit about it to you. If any of you guys can point on or tell me, or I'm going to tell you, what part of Cuba does Guantanamo Bay sit on? We'll get back to that. The fact of the matter is Cuba is under control of the Communist Party. And as of the latest count on members of the Communist Party, all over the whole island, you got about 500,000 active members in the so-called Communist Party. They're actually members of the Communist Party of Cuba. And something like 270,000 of those members of the Communist Party are military or ex-military retired. You see how they do that. But the total population on the island of Cuba is about 10 million people. So you got 250,000 people working for the communist government, the communist regime. They're high on the hog because they reap the benefits from 9.5 million individuals located on that island as Cubans, people from Cuba. What it amounts to is there is mass generator power outage over the whole entire island of Cuba, due to the lack of petroleum That's natural gas, that's crude oil, petroleum. But like I said, the Trump administration has allowed private sector of Cuba to import 30,000 barrels of diesel fuel for food delivery systems throughout the island of Cuba. The question about it was Guantanamo Bay. Guantanamo Bay, you know, that's a picky little subject there. But we'll zero in on the old Guantanamo Bay here. What is this? This is Guantanamo Bay? No, that's not Guantanamo Bay. Is this Guantanamo Bay? Is that it? Well, it looks like Guantanamo Bay to me. And where is it at? It's all the way out there on the east side, southeast side of Cuban island. And they got all kinds of crazy stuff here. They got airfields, they got their own sewage septic treatment systems, they got schools, they got all kinds of stuff going on here. They got a landfill where they have a trash. They got a big old airstrip right there next to the prison facility. That's where all the prison facilities that's going to be, on that little corner. But they got all kinds of good crap right here on Guantanamo Bay. You see, they got swimming pools, and country clubs, and baseball diamonds, you know, big parking lots, tennis courts. See there? Got little, like I said, they got little neighborhood stores, and you know, all kinds of good stuff on little Guantanamo Bay. Look at there, Kittery Beach Road and Sherman Avenue. See them American names on those streets? And according to the lease, you see, because the United States, they don't own any of this. They only pay to lease it. And the lease started out being $2,000 a year, but since the rebellion of Cuba, it was increased to $4,000 a year annually. There's some prime real estate out there for some $4,000 a year. Look at all that. $4,000 a year. Look, they got cement processing plants. They got road construction crew. They got their own everything. Their own little piece of America right here in Cuba for $4,000 US dollars a year, and they've refused it. It was supposed to be paid in gold coins, but they've refused payment on it. They, ever since the 70s, and whenever they had their rebellion against it, they just pretty much look at the U.S. as occupiers, and so does the rest of the world. They just think that the United States is occupying the island of Cuba. But like I said, they got agriculture out there, Gazoo, you know, they got you know, they got a big chunk there, you know. And the safety measure behind it, you know, let me back on up out of here. Oh, Jamaica, man. Get on the freeway, man. Go to Jamaica, man. There's the island of Haiti, Dominican Republic right next to it. But then guess what we got on the other side? Puerto Rico. You see, Puerto Rico. United States territorial island. Right there. So, we actually got one over there in Puerto Rico. We got one over here in Cuba. See, we got them over in Florida. You know, the Gulf. You know, and the Panama Canal. See, draw that little circle around Cuba, which means that whenever I say that we're going to starve them out, that's not the people, that's the regime, you see. And when I say they're going to starve out the situation in the Hormuz Strait, that means they're going to do the starvation strategy. Whether or not you believe it or not, whenever you take billions and billions and billions of dollars and money flow out of an economy overnight, when that happens overnight, that means people panic, the store shelves go empty, people start unaliving each other, they start picking sides. Everything is bad, 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 only because they don't know, or they might know where their next meal's coming from or not, you see. On the island of Cuba, see, that is a brutal scenario, which means all of their oil, petroleum imports on the whole island of Cuba, 10 million people, have been shut off, essentially. Cuba's considered its own country. Cuba, the island of Cuba. So now, whenever you're saying it's fair to remove all of the electricity, all of the petroleum, all of everything going into Cuba, and nobody else is allowed to do any donating, well, that was what Vladimir Putin of Russia was saying, is it's a humanitarian cause. Thus, the Trump administration allowed Russia to donate about 7 days worth of crude oil for the island of Cuba. And by the way, that's been a couple of months ago. Let's get on back over here for a second, and then I'm going to end this video. Need I remind you, you see, what's going on here. You see. And the perfect example of what was going to happen here with these people over here, you know, these people, those people right there, what was going to happen with them if nobody was paying attention. Already happened with the good folks of Cuba. See how that game works? So anyhow, because whenever this little thing over here started happening, they started sticking their nose around over in here, over in this part, and they said, "Oh, I'm sorry. Wow. I'll go everywhere, man. I'll go everywhere." What it means is whatever you got going on over here, whenever they say, okay, enough's enough, you guys over here can't be sending anything else over here. Can't do it. We're shutting that shit down. Now, the people of Cuba, well, they're pretty much living a couple of centuries back before, electricity and running water, because most of Cuba, there's 10 million people on Cuba, but there's probably about 500,000 of them that's just on top of the world, While the rest of that island right there is living in the dark without water, running water, electricity, and fuel for their vehicles. Only the vehicles that transport food and humanitarian products are the ones that have fuel, and they're kind of stretched on their fuel to be able to do what they do. So, I thought that said Banana Republic right there for a minute, but anyhow, when everything shuts itself off from a country and they starve out the regime, they bankrupt them, they go completely bankrupt, then eventually they'll be coming to the negotiating table. This was move one to acquire Venezuela oil power, to shut down oil going into Cuba and some of them little smaller island chains over in there without really examining it, to control it. Then, later on, we're going to do the same thing here. You see, that's how that works. And like I said, these people over here on this continent, right here, that big old ass continent, that little continent they call Russia, you see, they could give a shit about what's going on, because they're making money hand over fist to these countries, and these countries that are paying them this money, they're not paying them in that money, they're paying them for an exchange. You see what I mean? Of territorial domain, which means that they're also making money to be able to go over here on this little part and wreak some havoc. Right there. Like I said, we'll call this map Zombie Map Quest or something, but focus is next on this little place right here. This little place right here. See, it has strategic meaning to the United States. Else, we wouldn't have this on that island. This little place, you see. But until next time, Zombie Force out.